Hello, welcome back, Bottle Killers. This is The Real Bottle Killer on The Real Bottle Killer TV, joined with my host, Michael Roche. We are back in the kitchen, which can only mean one thing. It is time for another whiskey review. Now, today we've got the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old Cask Strength 2023 release. We're going to be diving into that very shortly. But Michael, just to kick us off, why don't you tell us how you came about this whiskey?
Yeah, so I bought this in Deanston Distillery last November. We were on a tour, went to the Highlands, stopped in Deanston as our final destination. And Deanston and Bunnahabhain must be sister distilleries, or they're both owned by the Heineken Group. I think someone can fact check me if that's true. But yeah, so we were on a tour. We did the Deanston tasted a lot of great whiskies, went to the store, and we saw that they had the Bunnahabhain Cask Strength 12 release. And now this is kind of like a cool kids whiskey. A lot of the whiskey community online have really been talking highly on this one. It's big top 5, top 3, top 2, top 1 even on some people's lists. And when we tried it, it kind of delivered on that. Yep. So when we were in the Deanston shop, it was just phenomenal. I bought it instantly. £80 I think it was. Didn't even need a conversation in my mind. Should I buy this? It was like, this is fantastic. Made sure everybody else on the tour got a bottle of it also, because it could have been an all-time whiskey. Now, today I've got a little bit of excitement to try it again, but I've also got a little bit of trepidation because we were just thinking about our top 3 whiskies of 2023, and I was like, instantly, this has got to be in the top 3. I can't think of many whiskeys that gave me that moment when I first tried them. Mm-hmm. But I had a Glengarry 12 the other day, which is very sherried, and I know this is a sherried whiskey as well. I didn't like it. I really, really struggled to get through it. And Glengarry, again, is another one of those like cool kids whiskeys. You know, you want to like it because it's kind of like a cool old school distillery doing it. They're doing things the right way. Yeah, I didn't like it. It's just kind of like you want to like the Springbank 10s. You want to have that and be like, yeah, I'm with the cool kids. So I'm a little bit nervous with this. Will I like it as much as I did the first time? And I've got a whole bottle of it to finish if I did. But so yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be in my top 3 for 2023. This is going to kind of find out.
Before we kick off and dive into the whiskey, is there any reason why you can't quite place this whiskey? You can't remember, and you're a little unsure of yourself?
What are you getting at? What are you saying?
I don't know. It was like day 3 of the tour. Maybe it's intermingled with a few other drams.
Yeah, it may have been my 7th dram of the day, and it was only like 11:14 a.m.
It was, yeah, because it was like Remembrance Sunday, and actually we did our minute silence in the warehouse, didn't we?
So yeah, I remember that. So it was a little later then. It's probably 12:14 then. So a little better.
That's good. That makes it okay then.
But we had our tasting at Deanston. So we did our 3 drams at Deanston. We did the 12, the what cask is it? The Virgin Oak cask.
Virgin
and
Oak,
the 18-year-old, all fantastic drams. Talked by the lovely Molly, who's a subscriber to the channel. So hey Molly, we love you. You're an incredible host. And then we went to the shop, and she probably let us have maybe 4 or 5 tasting drams in the shop to try. And this was probably the 4th. And so yeah, we probably were 7 or 8 drams deep by the time we tried it. So my memory may have been a little hazy.
Well, fortunately, you bought a bottle, so we get to try it today.
Let's do it.
So yeah, we'll get to pouring. But I think you mentioned this being one of those whiskies that like the cool kids are drinking. Now, I think the reason for that is the Bunnahabhain standard 12-year-old has just been like evergreen. I mean, it's probably one of the best value core range whiskies, arguably on the market. 46.3%. Usually, you're picking it up for around £40. It's a beautiful, beautiful whiskey. We've got here just while I pour this. We've got here the original release of this, so the 2021 bottling when it first came out, and it was bottled at I think 55.1%. Maybe worth just sort of checking me on the bottle there. And I think one of the big questions was when that came out was
55.1.
Is it worth the extra 30, 35 quid? Just for the extra 9% ABV, is it going to be that much different? Now, this one, what's interesting...
This is 55, not 51.
No, 55.1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 55.1. And then what's a little bit different about this one is it's coming in at 60.1%. So, they've raised the ABV by 5%. There was one that came out last year. I think that was like 56.3%. So this is a big jump up. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
61 is big. They really brought the hammer on this one. And I know that there's another one which is a very popular Cask Strength release yearly, which is Lefroy. And I think they're on batch 16 or 17 now.
Something like
so
that.
they must have been doing this for a lot longer than Bunnahabhain. This is their third year of the Cask Strength releases. I know you love the Lefroy 10-year-old Cask Strength release. You just bought a bottle of standard 10-year-old. You really didn't like the Lefroy 10 standard at 40%, did you?
No, I think it's the wrong way to go. My original experience with the Lefroy 10-year-old was the Cask Strength version. I was fortunate enough to be gifted batch 4, so one of the much older batches. And it's one of my favourite whiskies. Like, it's something that you'll always find on my shelf. I've got, I think, a bottle of the batch 13. It's almost dead, almost bottle killed. And a backup bottle, which is batch 15, just waiting to be opened when that one goes. But I think, going from a standard kind of strength whiskey up to a Cask Strength is a good experience. Nice to see. How is it? Is it richer? Do you get more of that texture? But when you're kind of going the other way, it doesn't work so well. And it's not a macho thing. I think there's just so much flavour and it's just such a powerful dram, the Lefroy 10-year-old Cask Strength, that really, I think, unfortunately for me, the standard 10 was like a little bit lost on me, a little bit wasted.
Do you think it's the order is important?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like if you do a tasting, right, typically they're going to put the strongest whiskey last, or if you're doing a mixture of like unpeated and peated, they don't put the peated whiskey first because it's going to take away, like Ron at Ardbeg said, it's going to, you're not going to taste anything else for the whole rest of the day.
Yeah, it's true.
So I see you having a little nose there. What are we picking up? What are we getting? How's that nose?
So first thing, it was actually the color. The color is you can tell it's sherried, right? You can tell it's that sort of rich sort of sherry color that you know from a sherry whiskey.
And this will be natural color, high quality whiskey,
which is kind of looks great. It's kind of the whiskey that looks great. I'm kind of a big fan of bourbon casks, and so the straw whiskey, the straw colored whiskey doesn't put me off. But it's always nice to have something really, really rich in color like that. Yeah. In terms of nose, what are you saying?
Well, I think that trepidation that you had, and I kind of agree with you on this, is that when I first got into whiskey, I started out with your standard bourbon oak classic maturations, and then discovered sherry, and it was like, wow, this is a whole new beast, and went down that kind of like obsession of the darker the whiskey, the better it is, trying, PX, Oloroso, all different types of sherry casks. And then I don't even know why it was, but like for some reason I just stopped liking sherry casks. Now, what I find with this on the nose is that it's that type of sherried whiskey where the sherry is very well integrated with the spirit. We know Bunnahabhain does excellent distillate, the fine quality drams. You get a lot of nice kind of salinity and coastal flavors from where it's matured. And it's great for me that the sherry isn't kind of front and center for this one. I actually find it fresh, floral. I think it's quite nutty. Some of those baking spices. I joke about not wanting to use the Christmas cake kind of reference, which is just standard for a sherried whiskey. So I think you like dried fruits, dried apricots, nutty hazelnuts, but it's that freshness that really kind of stands out to me with this one.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we're recording this in January, and right now it's a really fresh day. There's a blue sky, sun shining, and the light is so good in this video, probably because the sun is shining straight through the skylights, and it kind of gives you that feeling. You're kind of out on the field. It's like that mild day. It kind of gives you that fresh floral notes. It's delicious. It's lovely.
Just had a first kind of taste, letting that one settle.
And just a disclaimer. We this is the second time we're recording this episode, so we recorded it the first time. The spice hit me. I've took a couple of sips of that. I'm totally adapted to it. much better on this time. So you won't, the first sip I had on the first recording, which you will never see, I was kind of like, ooh, spicy. 61%. You can feel it. This one is a lot more. It's going straight in with the richness and the smoothness.
Yeah. Well, like, what surprised me with this is that the arrival isn't harsh at all. You know, you see 60.1% on the bottle, and you think, you know, that's a big ABV. It's kind of dangerously, like, I don't want to say smooth, but just dangerously drinkable.
It's rich. It's the richness of the flavor which is giving that drinkability.
Yeah.
And it's good, and it kind of gives you this like whole mouth sort of richness, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So the arrival for me, you know, it's got a lot of that sweetness to it. Again, more of those dried fruitiness kind of coming through. As it went down, just at the back end, you know, I'm getting a lot of kind of like cocoa powder hitting the back of the throat, but also without water at the moment. It is dry. You got those oaky kind of woody spices coming through at the end, almost kind of like, you know, when you drink like a red wine, like a dry red wine, like a Barolo or something. That oaky that kind of after you've drank it, your mouth just like dries up. So yeah, I think first impressions really good, really impressed.
That sip, I got a lot more spice there. I got a lot of spice on that sip. So it does have a spiciness. It's kind of like, but I guess that's the ABV, right? It kind of gives me there's some of the it's kind of like the Corey Vecken made our tongue like fizz up, that fizz on your tongue. It's not quite the fizz, but there is a spiciness that you feel on your tongue.
100%. So just added a few drops of water just to see how this one opens up. I think it is bringing more of those kind of sweeter flavors to the front. So again, getting those nutty kind of notes, hazelnut, almost like toasted caramel, toffee kind of toffee flavors coming through. So more sweet, kind of less of the spice.
Totally different nose on the water as well.
More rounded on the palate. Not as dry in. Still got a spiciness to it, but not as dry in. Not quite as many of the spices coming through on the finish. Still getting that cocoa powder. I think that the water definitely opens it up, brings out more of those sweet notes. Definitely improves it for me, but drinkable at 60.1% without question.
I think it's almost been like petrol on the bonfire on that when I put the water in. That's really like brought it to life.
A little livener.
That has become really lively with the water in it, which is kind of.
It's energized.
Should that be or should that not be?
I don't think so. So, you know, to go back to this, like,
and to go against you, it's actually become drier as well.
This is
on my palate.
Fair enough. So this is the 2021 version. This is the 55.1%. So, you know, added a few drops of water. Maybe the dram that we've got now sits somewhere in between the 2023 and the 2021. So just kind of like experimenting with it. What would be good to do is to get a dram of that, get a dram of this, try them side by side. You know, this one with water, that one without water, and just play around with them. Just have a little compare.
It's just so flavoursome. So flavoursome.
It is. It's an excellent whiskey.
It's like a whole mouth flavoursome thing. And so it has that, you know, I don't know what you call it. Do you call it chewy, but it's kind of got like a thickness to it, doesn't it? Where it's really like you know it's there.
Definitely. I think that's what I love about the Cask Strength whiskies is that you really get that difference in texture. Yes, the chewiness, the viscosity, whatever you want to call it. But this one definitely, like, it's really rich. It's really sort of thick, viscous, chewy. An excellent dram. Look, it sounds like you're impressed enough, you think, to include it in your top three?
Well, it's just a powerhouse. It's just a powerhouse of a whiskey in terms of flavor profile, in terms of just, you can just tell it's a well-made, well-executed whiskey. Will it make the top three? Well, you have to wait for our top three whiskies of 2023 to find out if it makes the cut. It was in contention, is all I'll say. And we're going to go up and film that in a couple of minutes. So that'll be our next video. So you'll be able to watch it after this. But yeah, let's. What do you think?
I'd say, yeah. So come back, join us next time for the top 3 whiskies of 2023. I think there's just one more question that we need to answer, and I think the viewers probably can already guess what the answer is going to be. But is the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old Cask Strength 2023 release a buy?
I think it's a buy. It's an absolute buy. I'm glad that it's delivered. Sometimes you, in your mind, it's kind of like when you break up with somebody. Sometimes you have this. What's the word? You kind of glorify them in your mind, don't you? Then you get back with them, and you're like, I should never have got back with this person.
No.
Sometimes that can be it on whiskey tours. You kind of got the energy. You're in such a good mood that everything's a good whiskey almost on a whiskey tour. And then you get back, you're like, oh, I can't really. I'm not in the same zone. I can't really enjoy it the same. This is not that whiskey. This delivers on its own on a cold Thursday afternoon in Wallasey.
It's like they say, never meet your heroes, like just sometimes you want to leave it as it is. But yeah, for me, 100% a buy. I was drinking the Bunnahabhain 18-year-old yesterday. My recommendation was actually for people to buy this one, not that one. And that's not because the 18-year-old isn't a great whiskey. It's just, for the extra £50, this one's pretty comparable. My recommendation would be grab yourself a dram of the 18-year-old in a bar. If you're going to buy a bottle, this is the one that you want to get. So appreciate you joining us. I hope you've had a good time. I've had a good time. Mike, have you had a good time?
I've had a great time. I just hope they've had a good time.
Great time.
I hope you've had a good time.
And we love to welcome you back next time. So come join us again. Next episode, we'll be checking out our favourite whiskies of 2023. Peace out.